Sorry to bother you. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, no worries at all, man. Happy to be here.
How's the tour going so far?
It's great. We've only had 3 shows so far, but they've done really well. I think the first night was like 1,000 people, and then the next night was like 900 and something, and after that was like 850. So we've had some really strong crowds. And tonight in Charlotte, it sold out at 900. So
that's pretty great.
Numbers have been pretty strong for this, so I'm really happy about it.
So what has been the response to, I think you're playing the Valley straight through on this one, right?
Yeah. We put that album out in 2019, and then the pandemic happened, and we got to do a little bit of touring on it, but we never really got to give it the whole front to back tour like we felt it deserved. So, when our manager approached us about doing a headlining tour, we were like, well, what if we went back and did the Valley in full, since we didn't get to do it in 2020, So,
right.
I think it's been something that the fans have been wanting, and they're really excited to see it. So, we're happy to be out here giving it to them.
And the response has been pretty good to the, playing the older stuff? Well, I guess it's older, but it's not, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that album really reflected with a lot of people, and it's something that a lot of the fans hold dear to their heart, because there's some emotional kind of concepts on the album that a lot of people can connect with. So I think seeing those songs live just kind of really solidifies that record for them.
Right. And I think you touched on something that's quite interesting to me. I mean, as a fan of the band and a fan of heavy music, your music touches people. I mean, people identify with the subject matter, and it's really strange when you think about, how heavy and aggressive it is, but how, I don't want to say universal, but how emotional it is and how it connects with people, even, up to kin.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it seems like since about Mark of the Blade, Phil has really been kind of opening up on his lyrical concepts and not afraid to, kind of touch on those more emotional subject matters, even though the music is so heavy. And, I think it adds something to the music as well. It brings the intensity with the music and matches the intensity with the lyrics without just, saying like, I'm going to kill everybody in the world or whatever,
Right. Right.
Because that's what heavy music usually is saying. So, it's kind of cool to, have a little bit of different subject matter that, means something.
Oh, yeah, I agree. And I imagine that you guys have probably received numerous emails, messages, talks after shows where you've connected with people and it comes to life in front of you, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's a lot of people that come up to us and tell us how much this album has helped them and how much it's helped them get through similar things, And I think that helps Phil out a lot, too, to know that he can share his story and he can, help other people through that because other people have gone through similar situations that he has. So,
right. And so
it lets it, everybody is, it just shows that you're not alone out there in the world, that there are people that have gone through the same shit that you have, no matter how messed up it is.
And I think even, leaving the lyrics aside, taking Phil out of it for a moment, even writing music this heavy and aggressive and emotional is probably cathartic as well for you as a guitarist, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to be able to write something besides just like heavy, chunky riffs. It allows us to express ourselves in a way that we haven't, we didn't really used to do that in the past. It was just,
right.
All the guitar riffs were just at 100, and it was just like raw and heavy. And so it's kind of nice for us to be able to peel back a little bit and play some of those softer guitar tones and, just kind of open up our artistic ability as guitarists.
Yeah, I mean, and so was there ever any kind of, when you guys sat down to do it, I mean, I think it started with the Valley, if I'm correct, that really sort of melodic thing, and it continues in Kin, but was there ever a moment where you're like, maybe we shouldn't do this because of our fan base, or maybe this isn't our wheelhouse, or did you just kind of say fuck it and go with it?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of both. We were kind of hesitant in the beginning because we weren't sure how our fans would react to it, but I think we felt confident just because, honestly, Phil sounds so damn good singing. So it's just kind of like, it would be really hard to make it sound bad. We'd really have to make it up, or really have to mess it up to make his singing sound bad. So
even live, he sounds great.
Gave us, yeah, for sure. So I think that gave us the confidence we needed to just kind of be like, I think this is something that we should really, try to go for.
Okay. So switching back to the road for a minute, I know you're only 3 days in, but you've done a few since the pandemic. What's the situation out there like? I mean, post-pandemic, it's a lot different, right?
Yeah, it's been great. More people have been coming out to shows than they were before the pandemic, and that trend is still... I was kind of wondering how that trend would go. I figured, as soon as shows opened back up, of course, there would be a rush of people trying to get into shows because they were so, that's all anybody wanted to do during the pandemic, and they didn't get to. So now they finally have the chance to go to shows, and I was kind of curious, like, how long that would last, because at some point it's got to taper off, like people are going to be used to going to shows again, and they're going to stop coming out as much. But, all last year, shows were really strong, and then, at the top of this year, this is our first tour out, and the shows are still really, really strong. So, to me, there's no signs of it tapering off yet, but, maybe in like 2 or 3 more years, it'll kind of return back to normal.
Right.
But as of right now, people are still going crazy and coming out to shows. So.
I imagine the energy post-pandemic was pretty insane too, right? Because people were, like you mentioned, just happy to be out there and happy to be doing, with their fans and with their friends and watching, their favorite band.
Oh, yeah. The first tour we did last year was our first tour back from the pandemic. We didn't do anything in 2021.
Right.
So at the top of 2022, we did that tour with Cannibal Corpse, and that tour was absolutely insane. The tons of people coming out every night. I think there were only maybe 5 shows that weren't sold out. So, people were coming out and just going wild in the pit because that was the first opportunity that they really had since the pandemic.
Oh yeah, I know, and it also made it kind of weird too because there's like so many bands out on the road at one time too. There's like a flood, so they had to kind of pick what they're going to go see, right?
Yeah, and that's still kind of an issue now. Everybody's just trying to get back to business, and there's only so many venues and so many states, and it crosses genres too. It's like not only are there like 8 metal tours out right now, but now these venues have to hold, the pop punk tours, the indie tours, even like the rap and the, everything else. So it's just kind of hard. That was the hardest part of booking this tour that we're on right now, honestly, was just availability. There weren't a lot of venues that had availability because, everybody's trying to tour right now.
Right.
So, I don't know if that'll kind of taper off as time goes on too, since everybody's not going to be like trying to make up all the money that they lost over the past 2 years. But I guess we'll see.
So what do you guys have planned then after this run? Are you taking the summer to do festivals and things, or?
We're actually taking summer to write and record.
Oh, really? Right back at it?
Yeah. Yeah, we have this headliner going until the middle of May, and then we go home and write and record, and then I think we're headed back to Europe in September. And then we have another small U.S. tour coming in November to December that we haven't announced it yet, but we will pretty soon.
So are you one of those?
Got a little bit more touring, a little bit more writing and shit like that.
Are you one of those bands that is always writing, like you're constantly on the road writing, or do you set aside time to go and actually write?
Yeah, a little bit of both. We are always constantly writing. All the guitar players have their recording rigs, so we can set up and record remotely if we want to, and then email each other ideas, bounce them off each other, and kind of pick out what we like best, and then we kind of match those ideas into songs. So, we got the rig out on the road with us right now, so we'll be recording some while we're on tour. And I think that kind of helps, motivate the writing process and stuff, too, to actually be out on the road, to be out here with the fans, and then to get back on the bus at night, kind of like write something. Right. I think it definitely helps reflect in the music. So.
And you're writing all together, right? So that's, I mean, a lot of bands these days don't write all together. They're emailing stuff back and forth. So at least you're together
when
writing.
we're home. Yeah, when we're home, it's a lot more of the emailing stuff, just because we don't have a lot of time outside of our families and stuff like that. So, I mean, we do always make sure we have time that we get together. But Savage lives about 3 hours from the rest of us, and it just makes it harder to get everybody in the same room together. So, yeah, definitely on tour that helps because we're together for 30 days straight. So,
right. So, a couple more for you, and I'll let you go. When you're writing. Since we're talking about writing, when you're writing, are you writing for how the song is going to, especially as a guitar player, for how the song is going to come across like in the live setting? Like, hey, since this is deathcore, this is a great place for a breakdown or a pit. Or are you writing songs for the song's sake?
A little bit of both. There's definitely some songs, in the past couple albums, there's not a ton of like really super heavy breakdown. I mean, there's heavy parts of songs, but there's never really like a part where it stops and it would be like considered a breakdown or a pit moment or whatever. So, I mean, I feel like on the past two albums, we've just kind of been writing to write. We're not really considering those kinds of things. But on the older material, I definitely do feel like we wrote more in that style where we're like, all right, well, this part is going to stop right here, and then it's going to have a really heavy part for the pit, and then it'll go back to this, and yada, yada, yada. So, I mean, I wouldn't say we really lean one way or the other, but we do kind of write it both ways.
Okay. So last one for you then. You're 17 years into your career, I guess, right? So around 2006.
Yeah.
Do you ever imagine you'd still be doing this, or that, this heavy music would still be relevant and you guys would be leading the charge?
Yeah, no, I definitely did not think that. When we started this, we were just a bunch of kids, and we gave up our jobs to cram ourselves in a van and go, play this form of like heavy death metal / metalcore that a lot of people hadn't heard back then in 2006. And, we were sleeping in the van every night and really roughing it out. So it's crazy to think that we transformed all of that into where we are now. And it's crazy to see like the modern, the modern deathcore bands that are coming up now, like Lorna Shore and, just all those kinds of bands. It's really interesting to see like how the genre has changed, and all these younger bands are growing and becoming, major acts themselves. They're going out there and headlining and selling out shows. And it's a really amazing thing to see.
Yeah, and putting out really great records. I mean, you just mentioned Lorna Shore. That record is freaking phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's really cool to see the, just to see the genre elevated. Like back in 2006, I don't think it was notable as it is now.
No,
so it's
not at all.
Cool to see.
And you guys kind of paved the way for all these guys. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So it's kind of cool to, just see how all that's come to fruition.
Well, sweet. That's all I've got for you, man. I hope that wasn't too bad, and I appreciate you calling me back.
Yeah, no worries at all, man. It was great.
And I will definitely be there tomorrow night, so I'm looking forward to seeing the Valley.
Yeah, sounds great, buddy.
All right, be well, my friend.
You.
Travel safe.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.